Welcome to another episode of the Middle of Podcast. This is a podcast about the journey of life, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. I am your host, Makomborero. And welcome. Today is episode 7 of the relationship series. And what are we going to be talking about today? Well, I think it's a bit interesting because it's the first ever time I have done this podcast since we started about almost 3 years ago. And I'm doing it alone. This is the first episode I'm doing alone. Wow, I'm doing it alone. It's taken a lot for me to do this episode alone because I'm so used to having a guest here with me. I really enjoy the company of other people. But I did think this particular episode would be interesting to do alone. And what are we talking about today? We're talking about the relationship with self. Before we get there, please do make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the podcast here on YouTube. If you are listening to the podcast, please do make sure to leave a 5-star rating. And please do share your thoughts about a specific episode, how you feel about this episode down in the comment section, or you can message us on Instagram at @TMiddleOPodcast. You can follow me at Mako_Cads or message me there as well, and I'll be more than willing to engage in conversations. I think it'd be great to find out what you guys, your personal conversations are with yourselves as well. But yes, today's episode is the episode about self. So it is called Relationship with Self. Now, I've got with me a few questions here, and I'm going to call it temperature check, or rather the questions are referred to as temperature check, and essentially finding out. I'm going to be talking about my relationship with myself, but I'm also going to be asking you as the viewers and the listeners about your relationship with yourself. And there are a few key pointers and questions that we can ask ourselves to figure out where we are, where we stand in life right now, what's going right, what's not, and just figuring out where you are. This is the month of September. If you're going to watch or listen in any other month, we are recording in September. And September is known widely as the, mental health awareness month. But I'm not doing the relationship with self purely for mental health purposes, but it's a big part of that. The reason I'm doing this is so that we also understand that in our journey of life, the best way to move forward is when we understand ourselves as well. We may never know 100% of ourselves, but if we know a good amount of ourselves, it helps us in our growth journey. It helps us to know where to let go, where to hold on, what to strive for, what to let go of, what to seek for in life, because we understand who we are and what we are after. Sometimes we know what we want to do and we know who we were, but we're not quite sure who we are now. And I think for myself, I have definitely had those seasons where I know what I'm looking for. Even today, I know what I'm after. I know what I want to get to. But sometimes, because of what's happened in the past, it can skew how you see yourself today. And or it can really do that both positively and negatively. So the first point, we've got 4 key points here, and they're going to be spiritual, your relationship with yourself in terms of it. So in spiritual, we've got word, prayer, and growth. We've got ourself in terms of our emotional state, our mental state, and our physical states. And then social, being family, friends, and all relationships in general. Then you've got social. This has to do with books, sports, and I guess culture in general. So for school, I guess that's mostly for those who are in school. That could be either in university, in high school. You could also be an adult who's doing your master's. That's just a key element. When we talk about culture, I mean more so culture as a broad sense. And when we say sports, if you are in high school or university, this might be a bigger thing for you as well. And that is today's episode. If you are not even in school, you will find that life is a journey and you keep on learning. So you will see how we'll tie into that as we go forward. So to start off with, when we talk about spiritual journey, I'm going to talk a bit about my personal spiritual journey at the moment. And I think it's been quite interesting where I feel like I've been growing as a Christian. More responsibilities coming on board, serving in church a fair bit more. I serve with the youth ministry at the church that I go to, which is Faith Ministries Bardal Community Church. And there's a fair bit of responsibility there. And I think sometimes it's easy to see serving in church as if you need a specific position or you need to be, in quotes, anointed for that position. But serving can look different in every sphere that you are in, right? So you'll find that you could be someone who's an usher. You stand by the door and you usher people into church. You could help out with the parking lot. You could, your whole job could simply be to maybe like an MC, whatever it is. Serving in church looks different in different seasons as well for different people. But one thing I'll definitely say about my spiritual walk is that lately it's been full of highs and lows. Certain areas where I was strong at before. So, for example, my prayer life, I think I could do with a fair bit of improvement there. It's good, but it could be better. I think that's the thing about life in general. I always feel like it's good, but it could be better. Bible reading has been pretty good and a lot more consistent. One thing that I really try and do is that I've been trying to filter a lot of the music that I listen to. So in the month of July, I actually went through the whole month without listening to secular music, or rather within my control. So I myself wouldn't actively go seeking secular music. I mean, if I was at work and someone was playing secular music, I'm not going to be like, Iwe, Zima, like, hey, go switch it off. But in my own capacity, I was not listening to secular music at all. And the reason for that was, one, sort of like a cleansing in a way, but two, just to be able to realize, okay, fine, the things that influence me, what I realized is the things that influence me a lot are the things that I allow to speak a lot all the time. So I really enjoy listening to music. At work, you'll find me with my earbuds in the gym, I'll have my headphones on. You'll find me in the car with my music on. I do not like driving in silence for the most part. So that's something that influences me a lot. And I've chosen to be a lot more specific or particular about the music that I listen to. And I found that when you listen to music that is good for you or with the right lyrical content, you're able to think more positive thoughts, you're able to think more positively throughout the day, be it, Christian or non-Christian, but you find that Christian music has a lot more of that. And I find that I spend more time in prayer when I'm listening to Christian music. So that's been good. Spiritual growth has definitely been good. It's been a point of improvement. And then the next one is my relationship with myself in terms of my emotional self. I think I have definitely been a lot more in touch with my emotions this year in particular. A couple of things happened towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, and it really forced me to get into my emotions quite a bit. And one thing I realized is that when I'll also touch on that regarding socially, like with friends and relationships, is that it caused me to, I realized maybe in about June, that I was now sort of, I guess, isolating myself for the most part. By isolating, I don't mean like I was kicking people away, so to say, but I wasn't active in terms of fostering the friendships that I have in my life. Because I wasn't in the best state emotionally. And I only realized that I knew it, but I only started acting on it in June, to say the least. And so it's one thing I've realized in life to know something, it's another thing to act on it. And I only started acting on it in June. It took quite a lot. So I'm sure some of my friends who are watching or listening would be like, yeah, I know it's true, because I haven't been like as active about calling friends or talking to friends or keeping like the relation as good as it can be. Not that I've been like, kicking friends away, not at all. But I haven't been as active in pursuing the friendships that I have. But one thing I've definitely been doing, I would say from June up to now, is it's been a lot improved. I feel to be like I'm in a better space emotionally. I feel in a better space mentally as well. I don't think I could definitely say that I've had a lot of I think mentally, in the past, I have had situations where I only realized in the past that, hey, you were mad sad. You could have been quarter to depressed. Maybe. But, I think it takes a lot to realize that you are not doing well. And it can be quite difficult to get to that point of realizing that you're not doing well. I think accepting that you're not doing well can also be a whole other challenge on its own. But seeking help is probably the best thing to do. So I remember, for me, one of the ways that I get help is by seeing my personal pastor. He's good at counseling, I suppose. He's very good at it. And I find that in order to also help my mental health, I also do quite a bit of exercise. So physically, I have rejoined the gym. I used to go to the gym last year, and then I stopped in December. When I came back from holiday, I didn't rejoin, and then I started again in August, and I've been feeling a lot healthier. So it's helped me both mentally, emotionally, physically. I feel better as well. I get better sleep. I eat better now because of the gym, I find, and exercise in general. I think the goal for me is just to get a bit more toned, I suppose. If you see me bigger, then don't be surprised. But the whole reason for me saying this is I feel like physical exercise, be it sport or hitting the gym or running, whatever it is actually good for our mental state. I was laughing with a friend, being Munashe, the one who was on the episode last week, who was actually saying that if you go to the gym, it's good to go to the gym 5 times a week. If you go 6 or more, chances are that you actually struggle with coping with your mental health, which I did not know. But statistically, that seems to be a thing. But it's a good way of relieving stress. It's a good way of getting all your endorphins and everything that you need to just keep your body in a good and healthy space. And I've been finding that to be very useful and helpful. So you find after work, I'll be at the gym, and then I go home and I, do all the work that I need to do and rest a bit. So that's been me, I guess, myself in terms of my emotional states, my mental states. I think I definitely did have a few challenging days during this year, but for the most part, it's been quite okay. One thing that I do want to start, not necessarily that there's anything wrong with me at all. I don't think you need, but even if there is something wrong, I guess we'll find out. But I want to start therapy. Not, like I said, because I feel like, the world is crashing. But I just think it's good and healthy for everyone to go to therapy every once in a while, because you may have issues that you do not know that you're struggling with, because you're just like, no, I'm okay. But realistically, you might not be okay. So I don't know. I think I'm definitely in a good space, but it'd be good to go just to see what it's like. I think everyone needs someone to talk to. So I have my personal past over that, but it'll also be good to talk to someone who is, yes, he may be trained in it, but also someone who's like qualified in terms of like degree and that whole sort of thing in it as well. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do as well. Hopefully soon, by the time the year ends, I hope to have at least done 1 or 2 sessions. Then socially, like we're saying, as well, I just think I could definitely say I think the relationship at home with the family is good, and it's good. Like, I'm enjoying it. My brother's away; he's in university now. Imagine that, yeah. I was laughing with my friend Alison. I think if you remember Alison from early on in the series, we're laughing actually about how I've known Alison we've been friends for about 9 years now. And it's quite entertaining to see how she used to talk to Tassie on the phone, and they would have banter and laugh and talk and stuff. And now she's like, he's in university. I'm like, yeah, because we've known each other since like primary school, or rather when he was in primary school. So you'll find that, or junior school, if you will, but you'll find that relationships are great when they get to mature as well. I found that my relationships with my friends have lasted quite a long time, especially my relationships with my friends who I've been friends with for a long time. The reason why I enjoy those a lot, especially or particularly, is because there is less pressure because you understand each other better as well. And I actually get to know, for example, if I have wronged one of my friends or they've wronged me, I also get an understanding of how they respond and how they react. And they also know how I'll respond and how I react. But also the great thing is that you know that it's all in love. So even when one has wronged you, you also understand that they may have not done it intentionally and that it was done out of 1, 2, 3 reasons. And I think something that I really have grown to appreciate is also the point at which a repentative spirit, I guess, if that word even exists, that when you've wronged each other, there is a heart of forgiveness. But not just that, the whole thing is understanding that you also will change for the better. So if it's me who's wronged them, I'll then be like, no, I'm sorry, I'll change and work on it for the better. And if it's them, they'll be like, no, let me change and work on it. And you actually see people actively working on it and changing. And that's one of the best things about my friendships. And I've also enjoyed even the friends that I've made in the last year, 2 years, 3 years as well, is that I just really enjoy making friends and meeting new people. So I'd like to call myself an ambivert. I am extroverted, like when around people, but I really enjoy time alone at the same time. So I think that's just been quite an interesting journey, figuring out when I have energy for people and to be with people, but also when I just want to be alone and withdrawn at the same time. And that's taken quite a lot of practice, and I think my friends understand that, and I'm really grateful for that. Then last, I guess, school, because I'm still doing my degree. That's been a fair bit of a challenge because now I work and I've got a full-time job, I suppose. And I still have my own business as well. So, and then I've got work. So there's quite a lot that's involved in terms of my after working hours where, like I said, I've hit the gym, I go home, I have supper, and then I study. I then do business things as well. So balancing time has been quite a challenge, to say the very least. But one thing that I find is, you know, when you give everything to God, God also takes care of what you're doing, more importantly. And he says he says when you work as if you're working unto the Lord. And that scripture really holds strong to me, or rather is quite close and dear to me, because you then find that when you work as if you're working unto the Lord, in everything you do, you give your all. So when it comes to being accountable, God asks us that we should account for every hour of our day, right? And that accountability doesn't mean like, are you doing the best thing that other people think you're doing, but you also know yourself that you're giving the best of yourself. And that's one thing that I've really grown to learn and to enjoy. That's been the episode about self. I guess the question is, where do you stand as yourself, emotionally, physically, and mentally? Where are you? And when it comes to socially, where do you stand with your friends, your family, and other relationships you may have? Where do you stand with work, school? I think the one thing that I will say about work is I've been enjoying work quite a bit. I started the job that I'm working in March. It's involved a fair bit of traveling. It's involved meeting tons of people. I can comfortably say that I think this year I've interacted with at least 500 people because of work, maybe more. But it's been good. I've enjoyed new experiences. I mean, yesterday, I literally drove back from Chinhoyi yesterday, and that was interesting to see how people in Chinhoyi relate, people in, you know, Karoi or Mutare or the other places that I've been to, and just seeing how Zimbabweans are. And for the most part, we are fun-loving people who really enjoy to be around each other. And that's been a great experience to see and note, and it's brought about a lot of growth for me. So that's me. That's been my relationship with myself this year so far. What would I like to improve on my relationship with myself? I think I have been learning to be more forgiving of self, and being more forgiving of other people as well. Not that I think generally generally I'm not a person who holds a grudge. But I have been learning to be a lot more forgiving, and that forgiveness looks different. Forgiveness doesn't then mean, for example, it doesn't mean re-engaging in the same way. Forgiveness can simply be letting go and giving it to God, but also understanding that we're also called to love in general. And that's been a very interesting journey for me. I think that's been the story of my year so far. The story of my year has been also learning how to love and how to become a better man to all people in my life. And the journey of becoming a better man or woman, I'm sure, entails not just yourself, but those around you. But the best way you can be the best man or woman is by being the best you can be, one, as yourself, so you can be the best for other people as well. And that also looks like being a good brother, a good friend, a good son, a good grandson, in my case at least. So I'm learning how to be good in those different areas, because you find that sometimes, I think the word says that when you do the Lord's work, he takes care of your work, like I mentioned. And you find that when you take care or you help other people around you and you work with other people, you find that you yourself get a better understanding of yourself and who you are and what you love and what you enjoy. So thank you very much. It's a fair bit more of a somber episode, but thank you very much for listening and watching. Please do make sure to follow at T-Middle Podcast or at Marco_Cads. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And this has been an episode titled Relationship with Self. Thank you everyone for following the relationship series. I rate this is the last episode of the series, and I just want to say thank you to everyone for paying attention. Please let me know what you've enjoyed about the series so far. And if you have any questions, do be sure to let me know about those questions. Shout out to all my friends, my family, and thank you everyone who's been watching and listening for the support. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. thank you. I think I've been a fair bit more consistent this time around. I know there was a bit of a lag, a 3-week lag or so. I think came down to things like editing time and recording time more than anything, actually. Shout out to Nyasha, who's been editing the videos lately. And thank you, everyone. This has been a great series. I've enjoyed doing this series with you. If we add an extra episode, we've added an extra episode. But for now, this is the end of the relationship series. We'll see you for the next series. And thank you. Love you guys. Take care. Cheers.